this is my latest body of work, and I'm working from. All inspired by this YouTube channel that I really like. It used to be from a TV show called Thinking Aloud, which Jeffrey Mishlove ran, and he's the interviewer host. And his new show is called New Thinking Aloud, and he has a lot of really amazing guests, and it's sort of my go-to when I'm painting. I'll often be listening to podcasts or talks, and it's a lot of wide range of subjects, so for this first painting I was I wanted to just paint Jeffrey, like the whole setup he's got, because in his studio with so he's interviewing his friend Daryl Robert Shune, and you can see them here. This is the sculpture that Jeffrey has in the studio, this mystical sculpture. I'm not actually sure where it's from, but it seemed I love it and it seems very meaningful. Basically, with this body of work, I want to be making like I would call them like dreamscape portraits. So I want to have a portrait of the interviewee with some symbology and things that are just brought up around them that feel like that's to do with the interview, just sort of let what comes come. And so I started about that with them both here, but it actually ended up being more of like a sort of vast plane. There wasn't too much things that I felt like I wanted to put in. I kept thinking I should put this in, put a vulture in, put an eagle in, put the bear or the bull in. No, so everything I kept taking back away, and ended up just with this the kind of big plane that they're on, sort of eternal plane. And one thing is the mountain range in the background does correspond to the price of gold, which is because one of Daryl Robert Shune's most interesting topics, I think, is money and the creation of money, and how that power sort of shifts between people and throughout the ages, and gold's very tied into that. And so I want to continue to make a lot of these paintings. They'll probably be, the next ones will be more zooming in on a sort of more portrait format with that dreamscape around them. So this is a painting of Pierre Grimes, another one from this body of work from the New Thinking Aloud channel, and I really love the way Pierre Grimes talks about Plato, and the way he seems to have a very new, fresh way of looking at Plato, where I hadn't heard before of how he talks about the Republic, say, as the ideal state for the human being to be in, as opposed to the whole society. It's actually the structure of the elements within the human being. But here I actually chose to paint Pierre like in a moment when he was looking down and blinking. It seems like with his eyes closed he's in a more kind of dream state, and I sort of see looking into that past as this sort of dream that he's looking back towards. That also Plato, he's talking about Plato and his experience of the Eleusinian mysteries, and how that is also sort of some kind of magical realm that Plato is drawing on, and bringing what becomes sort of like the foundation of Western philosophy is from this sort of magical area. And so I wanted to paint him with his eyes shut, sort of emerging and in this ancient sort of temple kind of but outdoor space. Okay, so this is a painting I did from a dream I had, where I was with this group of people, and we were in this huge glass structure was kind of like a lot of angles, like geodesic kind of shape, like maybe some kind of metal frame, thin bars with like big glass sort of shapes. And basically there's this big moon in the sky, and we were overlooking a very big ocean, and suddenly this moon, which I knew was some kind of spaceship, also just plunged down into the earth, and over the horizon line, and everyone knew suddenly that this was a very bad thing, and like the end was coming, and everyone was racing for these escape pods, and there was this huge tidal wave which was coming on the horizon, and before we knew it came so quickly. It just like was, I looked at it once, and then suddenly it just was like whoomph, like it just had destroyed everyone. And but our consciousness was still there, like perhaps it was to do with being in this dream state. My mind moved down sort of this umbilical cord going down to the earth, where a lot of these people who had actually made the moon crash down, who had controlled that, had made this escape plan, and they had this underground different chambers and different networks set up, and one of them was of this theater, which I'd like looked in through these curtains, and there was people moving around, sitting down and like enjoying themselves, drinking wine, and they didn't know I was there, and I kept moving down, and I found this old ruined courtyard where these bricks were around, and archways, and it's sort of like bits of grass and weeds growing up between the bricks, and this water came out of these bricks, and my consciousness, like, and a lot of people who'd lost their bodies had then sort of reformed out of the water, and we just had this sort of this marketplace where we were trading goods, and we sort of found somewhere we could start our civilization again. And so yeah, this painting is filling into that sort of Atlantean dream that I had, and there's this feeling of this water. I thought it'd be too much to actually paint the moon into the sky. I felt like it would be more like a feeling of like some kind of storm building by just having an open sky, and then just having this water starting to reverberate, just like retroactively, or like before the act happens. So that's just starting to like feel this from the gravity of the moon being kind of pushed down into it, and it's more like there's some more fluid boundaries in this time. So the parts that are trees are also beings. There's beings kind of emerging out of these trees, and there's in the water itself there's the same kind of feeling of people and beings like bubbling out of the ripples. I don't know what else to show you. There's also this little. The only other thing is this little eye. There's this sort of. It just the dot just kind of happened, and then I left it in there because it felt kind of right. So there's this little tiny eye, or is it an abseiler? I don't know. But there's just the one other thing.